Usagi! Ooh, Usagi! And I am here with more Final Fantasy XIV. It will be technically our last Final Fantasy XIV stream until 6.1, not including all the raiding that I am doing. And we may hop to it because I know the character that we have been playing Final Fantasy XIV on, Kali, still have some Eureka things to do. We have to do the last quest for the rolls, which I have not unlocked on her yet. And Boja. Those are all things I still want to do, but I don't have time to do them on her specifically. But this will be the last one for a while, not including all the raid streams we're going to do. We have one last role quest to do, the Ishgardian one, and before we can do it, we have to read the short story. And I am stalling for time because my grandpa is going to be here any second. I don't have time to eat between the raid and a couple hours in this stream. So let me. They're taking it. Yeah, they are literally riding up my street. So let me grab the Tales from the Shadows and put it over here. Make it a little bit bigger. Why you don't become big? And big. There we go. So this is the last one. We technically, so we did read, Burden of the Duty was, this was the Yaguri one. This is for Dole, oh no, Marwub. For Dola, we didn't technically finish this one, but it didn't matter too much. That's my grub up. And then, oh shit, we're spoiling. Okay, so this is the last one. I'll be right back. I have to grab that at my door. I'll put on Night at the Broom specifically. Here we go. And I will be right back. Here we go. I'm so excited to eat this soup. Alright, here we go. Gotta read this story first, then we'll do our role quest. At the far end of the audience hall in the holy vault of Ishgard, sat upon a dais spanning its breadth, was the Archbishop's throne. From this sacred seat the Church's most powerful men had ruled for centuries, but no longer. The throne lay empty, a relic of the time before the war's end and the Republic's birth. Where once power was hoarded, it was now shared. Where once the privileged conspired in secret, the people's chosen now debated in earnest. Count Arturiel de Fortemps was one such representative, and on this day, like many others before it, he sat in attendance as a member of the House of Lords. If there are no further comments, I move that we end this session with a vote, Emmerich declared, his voice echoing across the gray flagstones of the chamber. Once yours is cast, you are free to take your leave. My apologies for keeping you all until such a late hour, my lords. I know full well you have great demands upon your time. Says the man with the greatest demands upon his, Artorial thought wryly. Between scrambling hither and yon on official business and presiding over House sessions, he knew that his friend had precious little time for himself. At the Lord Speaker's words, the members rose to their feet and began making their way to the ballot box in the predetermined order. Many were still fumbling their way through the unfamiliar business of Republican governance. Artorial himself not least of all. But he pressed on with dutiful determination. Having cast his vote, he returned to his seat to gather up his belongings when the empty throne chanced to catch his eye. As he beheld it, his vision blurred as the memory of a day 17 years ago came flooding back. A day from what now felt like another life. The shirt's collar felt stiff as canvas, but Artorial endured the discomfort. The occasion called for the finest finery, and the outfit his manservant had assisted him into made his dinner garb appear uncouth in comparison. It was not every day, after all, that Ishgard saw a changing of its ordained ruler. Wishing to be part of this historic occasion of Archbishop Thornton VII's coronation, highborn and lowborn alike had gathered before the vault. The massed citizenry extending as far as the Hoplon. However, none save a privileged few outside of high-ranking clergy and the Archbishop's personal guard were permitted to attend the official proceedings. In his capacity as the scion of House Fortemps, Artorial stood beside his father in the audience hall, endeavoring to look as dignified as his 13 summers would allow. His youngest brother, Emelian, was there too, and to his credit was behaving himself despite being too little to appreciate the gravity of the event. Orchefant, however, was absent. On account of not bearing the name Fortemps, their Lord Father had earlier explained, yet even before this, Artorial had sensed there was something different about his brother, if only through his aloofness and the disdain with which their mother treated him. Thus the ceremony proceeded with his family short a member, but if anyone else was bothered by it, they did not let it show. And after a series of solemn rites, Thornton VII finally appeared in the sacred vestment of the Archbishop, holding the Fury's gaze, the holy, cozy air of his office. He strode purposely and majestically towards the throne as Artorial looked on in awe. I, Thornton, 7th of my name, do swear to serve as an instrument of Halone's will, embodying the spirit of King Thornton, our nation's revered founder. I shall preach the faith and protect the faithful, that together we might defeat the dragon menace and bring the Fury's blessing unto all men. The Archbishop's words stilled Artorial to the core, reaffirming the lessons he had been taught since he first could remember. He was descended from the legendary Knights 12, his chest fairly bursting with pride. He made his own pledge. Like my ancestors before me, I will become a knight, brave and true, and I will serve Ishgard unto my dying breath. At length the ceremony came to a close, and the doors to the audience hall were thrown open to let a flood of lesser peerage. Some wished to catch a glimpse of their newly anointed leader, while others sought to curry favor with the high houses. Together with Emelian, Artorial followed his father as he led them through the dance of nobility, keeping his eyes peeled in careful observance as he was taught. One day he too would need to navigate these selfsame waters. He noticed the members of House Durnadere and Danzamal take their leave early, sharing fields of red on their crests. The two families tended to keep their own, giving the impression that they were plotting some manner of intrigue. In contrast, House Fortemps and Helenarte, which shared black fields and ancient ties, were hardly reclusive, and were in fact regular fixtures in social events. Even now, his father, Lord Edmont, had begun engaging in cordial conversation with Lord Barradouin, his counterpart in the latter. Of the children of that house, all were present save Francel, who was yet too tender in years to attend formal functions. When the adults finally dispensed with the pleasantries and began discussing difficult matters, the sons and daughters took their opportunity to withdraw and speak among themselves. Bearing his brightest smile, Emelian slided over to where Chomabant and Lenonate, the third and fourth born of House Helenarte, were standing. Artorial was not surprised to see a gaggle of younger children attending Jolamante. He had a way with the little ones. Meanwhile, Artorial turned to face Severin and Orvale, the first and second sons. Such noble children would one day become allies and rivals both, he knew, and it would behoove him to maintain friendly relations, but not too friendly. My lords, he said, sweeping them a well-rehearsed bow, Stephanians chuckled. Oh, come now, let's not stand on ceremony. We are of age, are we not? In a languid tone, Orville added, Aye, and I've had my fill of dry formalities. It's tiresome stuff, and I want to go home. Likewise, brother, I'm on the cusp of contemplating my latest invention. Shall we beg leave of father? And as quick as that, the brothers bade Artorial farewell, asked their father to be excused, and happily trotted off. As he watched them leave, Artorial could not help but envy the carefree pair. Finding himself bereft of company once more, he returned to observing people around him. Ere long he spied a dark-haired youth, slightly older than himself, perhaps, regarding the Archbishop's throne with what could only be described as a glare. Puzzled, he approached and asked, Why do you frown so? Is this on a joyous occasion? The youth startled at the question and turned to face Artorial. His eyes widened in surprise, but soon narrowed as anger reclaimed his features. Clearly you have not heard the rumors of my birth. Not that it is a concern of yours. Artorial winced. In turn, the youth's expression softened in remorse. My apologies. That was ill done. Clearing his throat, he continued pleasantly. My name is Emmerich. How was the ceremony, if I may ask? I did not have the pleasure of witnessing it. The excitement of the event still fresh in his mind, Artorial forgot his discomfort, and held forth with unbridled admiration. Oh, 'twas truly inspiring! I shan't soon forget his Eminence's oath. He swore that he would serve as an instrument of Helone's will, and bless all men. Bless all men? Do you suppose he can do such a thing? Artorial was about to reply, when another stole the words right from his mouth. Absolutely! The Archbishop is a great man! The two turned to find a golden-haired boy, garbed in common fashion, regarding them eagerly, the son of a knight, perhaps. Seeming to remember himself, the newcomer bowed deeply, as one does to his betters, before resuming his enthusiastic account. His Eminence graced our school with a visit last year. He prayed for us that we would become strong, righteous knights. 'Tis a dream to serve him one day. The boy's passion struck a chord with Artorial, and who nodded in approval. Emmerich, however, simply stared. He parted his lips as if to speak, but thinking better of it, said nothing. Nary a moment later, a knight emerged from the throng and barked, Ah, there's Valhorden's lad. Placing a firm hand on their golden-haired counterpart's shoulder, he continued, Hold on, we have to go back to a night in the broom. There we go. Didn't realize Titania's theme would suddenly happen. Nary a moment later, a knight emerged from the throng and barked, Ah, there's Valhorden's lad. Placing a firm hand on their golden-haired counterpart's shoulder, he continued, Come, your father's been looking for you. Drawing himself up to his full height, the boy swept them another bow and departed with the knight. I, too, must be on my way, said Emmerich. By your leave, Lord Artorial. By the time he had gathered his wits enough to wonder when he had given his name, his companion had already disappeared. Like himself, Emmerich too must have been taught to be observant, he concluded, to learn in preparation for the day you must join in the dance. Lord Artorial, are you well? A familiar voice plucked him from his reverie. He turned to see Emmerich standing a few steps away. Glancing about the chamber, he realized it was empty save for him and his friend. How far you've come since that day. After that meeting, Artorial had discovered that Emmerich de Borel, the adopted son of the Viscount, was rumored to be the illegitimate issue of Archbishop Thornton himself. Out of kindness, his parents had chosen not to speak of the matter to him, though it did nothing to shield him from the gossip of others. And so Emmerich had sought an audience with the Archbishop to ascertain the truth, but as a child of a lesser house, such a wish was not to be fulfilled. In the end, he came to embrace his lot, and dedicated himself in service to his people. For his efforts he was rewarded with the command of the Temple Knights. And now he held the highest office in the nation. Lord Artorial, Emmerich repeated with a hint of concern. Forgive me, I was lost in reminiscence. The Archbishop's coronation, when first we spoke. I see, said Emmerich as he turned to his gaze upon the throne, eyebrows furrowed, not unlike the first day. After a time he continued, It feels like another life, does it not? Artorial sighed. Once I would have told you nothing. I am torn to remember that day, to remember the child I was, who accepted all he was taught without question. The lies, the pride I had in my lineage, my very existence. Gods, what a fool I was. Our scars will not soon fade, though we must try and move forward, the pain lingers, a constant reminder of our father's betrayals and our traumas. Emmerich had told him the tale during the campaign in Grimald, how his friend had urged the Archbishop to renounce the lies with Ishgard, to renounce the lies upon which Ishgard was built, and was rebuffed as a naive child for wanting to tear down institutions that had endured for over 1,000 years, and indeed built upon a rotten foundation of deception, though everything was, Emmerich had recognized the truth of his father's words, and they remained a thorn in his breast. We cannot so easily forget that which defined us for so long, thus do we struggle to rebuild our lives. Just as Artorial was making to speak, Emmerich picked up the thread as though he had been privy to his thoughts. So let us forget neither the past nor the pain, and let us acknowledge whence we came, and whence we now stand, set forth anew. As the setting sun shone through the window, Artorial nodded. In silence they contemplated the empty throne and the deepening shadow that it cast. And there we go. Okay. Shut that off. And now we are ready for this. The Ishgardian delegate seeks a battle mage with courage unwavering. Ah, my lady Kasagi, I have awaited your coming. The phenomenon wherein men turn into monsters, it pains me to say, Ishgard has not been spared. A dread blasphemy has appeared in the Holy See, and to compound the people's horror, the beast resembles a dragon. It is imperative that it be vanquished without delay, and to that end we have begun assembling a hunting party. Given that fear and despair may turn our allies against us, we are being stringent with whom we choose for this duty. Yet while we have confidence in the quality of our knights, the mission would greatly bereft for the presence of a battle mage, one who can stand unflinching in the face of our fell quarry. We would be hard-pressed to find an individual who fits that description better than you. Will you not lend us your strength and skill? We are in your debt. Just a moment while I relay glad tidings to command. "'Tis settled. Upon arriving in Ishgard, please take yourself to the Aetherite Plaza. Lord Artorial will be there to receive you, and may the Fury speed your way." Trying to eat in between teleports. Kasasagi, I have been expecting you. Words cannot well express how heartening it is to have you fighting beside us. Allow me to echo that sentiment. I hope Emmerich is extremely horny in this, as he always is. Greetings, my friend. Lest you wonder, Lord Artorial and I are leading the effort to deal with the blasphemy. With your capable self in the fold, I have no doubt that we shall succeed. Without further ado, I shall brief you on the situation. 'Twas a handful of days after the first beasts appeared at Razathan. Okay. So this is important to talk about. And especially important based on the short story. In the short story, they talked about a young blonde Elizan boy who was very excited about the Archbishop. You can probably ascertain that as Zephyrin, who was the captain of the Heavensward, and the one that killed Orshafon. Now granted, all of the Heavensward were tempered. However, a lot of them were extremely shitty people even before the tempering. Not so in Zephyrin's defense, not so much him. He just kind of was blinded by faith. A lot of them are shitheels. When you have finished the Ishgardian restoration, you can go into the hospital. And there is a man with Zephyrin's hair and his earrings. But He is, he's got like a blindfold on. Because his eyes or something are damaged. And he's laying in the bed making noises. And it was highly surmised that it was Zephyrin. How and why, we don't know. And then, when the Razat Han stuff happened and the final days came, that very man started stumbling through Ishgard. So I suspect, based on the short story, as all of these are based somewhat on the short story, that we will be dealing with Zephyrin, which will be interesting. An Elysian man was observed at the Hoplin in the Pillars, walking with an unsteady gait. All of a sudden he buckled over as if in pain, and before anyone knew what was happening, he had transformed into a terrible, draconic beast. At the mere sight of this, many who chanced to be present also turned, and regrettably the temple knights were forced to put them down. The blasphemy itself, however, took wing and fled. Profane Fafnir, you have chosen to call it, after the dragon man of Ishgardian myth. Since that day, the beast has oft been sighted in the skies above Ishgard. It does not attack, only circles menacingly for a time ere disappearing again. Alas, these brief visitations are enough to cause more people to turn, and for fear and panic to spread further. As part of our investigation, we have sought to identify the man who became the blasphemy, but thus far we have learned not. We have, however, identified a common thread between those who subsequently turned. All were people of fervent faith, people such as priests and inquisitors. When the truth of our nation's history was laid bare, the legitimacy of the Church was called into question. Many Ishgardians struggled to reconcile the revelations with their beliefs, and none more so than the pious. Such men and women we possess would be more suitable to despair, and therefore the transformations. We must find a way to stop it. Ishgard has only just emerged from a 1,000-year war, and we cannot suffer another great tragedy, much less so soon. In order to attain a better understanding of the situation, we intend to speak with a member of the clergy, the sole individual who survived witnessing the blasphemy's birth without being turned. Clem is his name, and he is a deacon at St. Meriamon's Cathedral. Come, let us seek him out there at once. Oh, this man's gonna lead me to the housing district, which I very much want to see. But I have other things to do. I'll have to do it on my own time. Oops, almost traveled to the firmament out of habit. Not so very long ago, few would have imagined Ishgardian knights marching beyond the bounds of their own dominion. But we have ventured to the heart of Garlemald and fought for no less than the fate of the world itself. Our nation had changed, and continues to do so. Lord Emmerich, Lord Artorial, and the savior of Ishgard besides, you do me great honor. I am Clem, and I serve as a deacon here at St. Meriamon's Cathedral. I understand you were among those at Hoplin when the incident occurred. We give thanks to the Fury for your merciful preservation. We now seek to prevent the blasphemy from wreaking further havoc, and would appreciate any details you can provide. Loath though we are to make you recall unpleasant memories, will you not recount to us what you witnessed that day? Very well. We are presently relocating the Vault's libraries to the Cathedral, in case you were unaware. We had finished delivering a batch of tomes when we were on our way to bring over another. As we approached the Hoplin, we noticed a young man walking unsteadily. No sooner had he come to abrupt halt than he transformed into a draconic beast. The fiend fixed with us a menacing glare, and it was all we could do to find our wits and flee. But to my compounding horror, my brethren who were with me began turning into monstrosities as well, one after another. Praise the Fury that you, at least, were spared the draconian gleam. I cannot imagine how frightening the experience must have been. Bishop Varchino. No, Varchissois. I hate French. Forgive me if I interrupt. I was informed that our stalwart protectors were present and wished to express my gratitude. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you for your service, and I pray that we shall soon be free of this scourge. Indeed, if there is aught we might do to aid your efforts, you need but say it. Is this... This is, hold on, he was just talked about in the short story. I need to double check. I closed it thinking we were done, but I actually think... No, different V name. Vala Hordens. Okay, got it. That was my bad. You are most kind, Your Grace. That was Bishop Vartissois, the head of St. Raymond's and a member of the Synod. With the seat of the Archbishop vacant, he is in effect the highest authority in the Ishgardian Orthodox Church. This is so, yet in spite of his elevated station, he remains as kind and humble a man as I have ever known. Like his grace, I would do all that I can to help shepherd our people through this uncertain time. To that end, there is a request I would make of you, if you can spare a moment to consider it. Of course, that if it is in our power, we should be glad to offer you aid. Thank you. I'm going to ask for a new bishop. Probably not one to lead. The deacon was no less terrified by the blasphemy than his peers, yet he alone did not turn. By what grace was he spared? In the wake of the transformations, a group of clergymen fled the city in fear. Yet though they sought to refuge in the wilderness, they put themselves at the mercy of the elements and fell fiends both. Given that the cause of the transformations is not clear, I think theirs was a decidedly unwise decision. I wish to set out to find them, but I am not trained in the ways of war. As such, I require those who are to accompany me in the search. So that is the way of it. Suffice to say, we will help. Do you know where your fellows may have headed? The Western Highlands, I believe, between Gorgine Mills and Hemlock. There is no shortage of abandoned dwellings in the area. Very well. Time being of the essence, I propose we split up and scour separate areas. Kazusagi, if you could escort the good deacon of Gorgon Mills, Lord Artorial and I will tend to Hemlock. Oh, so far. I love this shark. I love the way you ride on it, like a little board. Little leggies up. Oh, I was like, that looks like a rank of some kind, but it's just a B rank. If I see the A rank, though, I will punch the shit out of it. You? Oh, I see that you have found them. Yes, and none worse for the wear, thank the Fury. My friends, forgive us if we have caused for alarm. We came out of concern for your well-being. Though we understand why you quit the city, we fear you may have placed yourself at greater risk by coming here. His Grace Bishop Varsisois, too, wishes for your health and prays for your swift return, so please, will you now not allow us to escort you to the Holy See? I assure you, you will be much safer there than this wretched place. Servants of the Fury will never be safe in this city, don't you see? This is your fault. You and your accursed revolution. The people disdain us, mock us behind our backs, and spit in our faces. And now someone is conspiring to transform us into monstrosities, enemies of the church, I'll wager, emboldened by your deeds. So I will not go back to Ishgard. I'll sooner freeze to death than suffer your pity. What? Man's like, man, I wish we still were at war. All I have ever done was in her service. I am a good man. She cannot forsake me. Alone I preserved. Get forsook. We should probably chase after that. Kasasagi, we cannot allow him to harm any others. Give chase and do what you must. We will remain here and keep the others' claim. Forsook. I don't know, Emmerich, I could really use a tank. Because I'm a squishy little mage. God damn it. All he ever wants to do is do things with me. And the moment we're doing stuff together, he's like, oh, I simply can't. Duty and all. I will forget this. Anyway. I'm just saying, Arshafont would have gone with me. Is it done, Kasasagi? My thanks. What happened is most regrettable, but we must be grateful that no one else came to harm. While you were gone, the deacon was able to convince the others to return to the city. Let us escort them back at once, and then reconvene at the congregation to consider our next course of action. For our purposes, we have the use of the strategy room. Announce yourselves to the guard without, and he will show you in. Isn't that your office, Emmerich? Isn't that just your office? Yeah, this is just Emmerich's office. What do you mean you have used to the strategy? I guess it's not his office anymore. Oh yeah, it's not. Because his desk used to be right here. Damn, dude, that sucks. Here we shall discuss our plans and deal with the blasphemy. Whenever you wish to enter, you need but say so to the guard. Lest you wonder, we have taken the clergyman to St. Raymond's to rest and recover. If truth be told, the thought that they may still succumb to despair in turn remains at the forefront of my mind. Yet the risk would be greater still were we to keep them at arm's length and deny them the comfort of the church. Indeed, from the words he spoke, the Inquisitor yearned for the days of old. The days of old where you accused innocent people of being heretics. He and others, like him, can scarcely be blamed. Since the truth of the nation's founding, the Archbishop's machinations were made public knowledge. The Church has been in turmoil. Though we have made great strides in separating religion and state, there has been far less progress in the reformation of the Church. For our faith has been everything to us, our purpose and our comfort. 'Tis not an easy thing to reconcile one's beliefs with the betrayal of our spiritual leaders. Thus torn between their hearts and minds, many Ishgardians feel lost, and none more so than the members of the clergy, whose faith was once unshakable. Little wonder, then, that the most dedicated and devout are like to turn. So it seems, but further investigation is needed ere we draw a definite conclusion. With the war's end, Ishgard has set out on a new path. The choices we make shall not determine the course for the future. Come what may, we dare not squander the chance we have fought so hard to attain. Once they the returned clergymen are sufficiently calmed down, I shall have the deacon speak with them, that we might gain insight to their individual plights. Good. Meanwhile, I shall take the opportunity to brief my men on the recent developments. Pray take a moment's rest, my friend. You have earned it. When you are ready to continue our work, you may seek us out here. Artorial is eagerly awaiting Deacon Clem's report. Kasasagi, your timing could not be better. Deacon Clem has finished speaking with the rescued clergyman and will be here shortly to share his findings. I keep moving my text box everywhere. Lord Emmerich too is on his way. Let us wait for them. Deacon Clem, we thank you for making inquiries on our behalf. 'Twas no imposition in the least. As I said, I am glad to do all I can. So 'tis our understanding that those escorted back were all close acquaintances of the Inquisitor who turned. Like him, they too have been the subject of harassment by certain quarters of the populace. Is this correct? It is, I'm afraid. And they are far from alone. Men of the cloth were once afforded respect and deference as servants of Halone, but now they are openly reviled by many. We were complicit in perpetuating terrible lies. This is true, but we too were misled. We too are victims. Yet we are regarded by some as criminals. Well, do I understand the people's anger, but it saddens me to think that they would thus lash out at their fellow man, especially when we need solidarity most of all. Though I can imagine your plight, I would not presume to fully grasp your pain. Will you tell us of the challenges you and yours have had to face since the war's end? Oh, thank you for sippies. Like all sons and daughters of Ishgard, we dreamed of peace in our lifetime, and now that it has come, we find ourselves with little cause to rejoice. Our faith has long since been the foundation of our lives, and overnight that foundation has been crippled by fractures beyond repair for some. To learn that we had been deceived, and that we have unwittingly deceived others in turn, was devastating. We who had once been shepherds to men found ourselves lost lambs, bereft of surety, and wanting for guidance. We have languished in darkness, all of us. Yet I have faith that the church will redeem itself, that it will find a new path, and again become a beacon of hope for the people. I see. Thank you for sharing this with us. Your testimony has confirmed our suspicions. According to our allies, that which causes people to turn is none other than their despair and anguish. If it wasn't before, 'tis now abundantly clear why members of the clergy are among the transformed. That you did not, I believe, is due to your unwavering faith in the church. In light of this, we would ask for your continued cooperation. Of course, anything to help my brethren. Now that we have established the cause, that leaves us with the mystery of profane Faner's identity. The progenitor of these troubles, could he too have been a man of the cloth? From what I recall of his garb, I doubt it. He was dressed in the common fashion, and incidentally against the cold besides. 'Tis said that something of the individual may remain in the blasphemy, influencing its behavior. If we can determine what instincts drive profane Fafnir, we may learn who it once was, and this knowledge, I believe, will prove vital in our efforts to stop it. I knows. Deacon Clem, we ask that you reach out to your fellow clergymen. Please do what you can to ease their anxieties. Understood. As I have ever done, I shall provide what comfort I can to those in need. Meanwhile, we must make a priority to identify the blasphemy. To that end, I would seek out more eyewitnesses. The Hoplin is a busy place at any given time. Some ordinary citizenry are bound to have been present at that tragic event unfolded. I propose we make inquiries in the pillars. If you could attend to the Hoplin, Lord Artorial and I will look in the surrounding areas. If it's not Sir Zephyrin, I will be extremely shocked and misled by all the information around me. What am I doing? Where am I going? I see. Excuse me, ladies. No, I didn't see the dragon, nor would I have wished to, frightful as it sounds. They say it wasn't a Dravanian attack, but if not, then what was it? The dragon that appeared at the Hoplin? Aye, I saw it with my own eyes. One moment an Elizin, the next a terrible beast. He was a heretic, I take it? I'm glad that the Ishgardians are the same as they ever were, though. Those damn Dravanians and the heretics. Can I walk on this side? Hell yeah. Frightfully dangerous. I wasn't present for the incident at the Hoplin, but a young man poorly dressed for the cold, that I did see. I recall him well because an aide from St. Vanaderus was searching for him. He was a patient at the infirmary, and by coincidence had the same name. I fucking knew it. So I'm right on that account. It's just about his true identity. I'm going the wrong way, because the city is actually a nightmare. Just this top part. You don't even get into the most obnoxious parts of Ishgard, which is like all that bullshit down there. Excuse me, Artorial. There you are, Kasasagi. Did your search yield any fruit? A patient of the Firmament's infirmary, you say? Among those with whom I spoke, one claims to have witnessed an individual fitting that description, a man walking in a stupor who did not seem to feel the cold. The bottom, the top part, technically, is just this loop-de-loop thing. Can I open my map while I'm talking to these men? It's just awful. If he had wandered straight out of the infirmary, it would explain his state of attire. Yes, I dare say we have found our blasphemy, but to think that his name should be Vanadaru. 'Tis the same as that of former Heavensward Commander Sir Vanadaru de oh, fuck these French names. Rauschmande, for whom the infirmary is named. Sir Vanadaru, however, retired from his station at a ripe old age some years ago. 'Tis not like to have been him. In any case, we have a lead, and I shall head to the infirmary at once. Pray wait for me in the broom. Yeah. These loops, these are all extremely bad. It's bad, Tom. In the time-honored tradition of jumping off the bar, or the balcony. Hello, Sid. Oh, wait. Full stop. Do you have any new dialogue for me? I saved the world. I don't know if you heard, because I know you weren't there. Well, aren't we a creature of habit? Not much reason to call on us these days, yet here you are. Curious to see how we're getting on? It would seem that the Countess Crusade died with her. No one has sought us out since that day. Even so, I do not expect these peaceful days to last, so long as there are those who prey on the weak and helpless. There will ever be a need for knights such as we. But I worry for Riel. I cannot abandon her yet. I would not have her be a party of what to come. I bopped his nose. Her walk the path, but she's just her life is her own, to make of it what she will. If that is her desire, then we shall discuss it. Oh no, hers is the same. Alright, goodbye. Lord Artorial should not be long. Let us wait here. Oh, because the infirmary they're talking about is in the firmament, but I guess the infirmament is an optional unlock. I guess that's true, so we can't actually go there. Just let you go places. When you've finished Heaven's Word, just unlock the firmament. This is Loverick, an aide who was in charge of Vanadaru. Have you found him? Oh, please say that you have. We have not, I am afraid, but we seek to and hope that you could tell us more about him. May we ask how he came to be at the infirmary? He was found by a patrol in the Central Highlands. After being treated for his hurts, he was brought to us for convalescence. Being in the prime of his years, he had been doing well, but then... Prime of his years. By all accounts, he is no old man. It seems safe to say this isn't Sir Vanadaru. Oh no, he's definitely a different person, as I told Lord Artorial. And though he gave his name as Vanadaru, he seemed rather confused, and we had no means to confirm his identity. In his state, he shouldn't be wandering about on his own. Please, you must find him. The man who recently turned into a beast at the Hoplin. We regret to say it may have been Vanadaru. What? No, how can this be? Is there aught else you can tell us? Things he may have said or done while in your care? While he was still unconscious, he would often ramble. Though most of it was incoherent, he mentioned the Archbishop many times. Oh, and he spoke of a bishop too, Bishop Varshiswa. I assumed he was a pious man, given this. I see. Thank you for your cooperation. We will continue our investigation, and should we confirm what became of Varandaru, inform you forthwith. Let us return to the congregation for now. It's slightly faster than this one back. Or no, it's slightly slower. But that's okay. Into the strategy room. I can't get over what they've done to Emmerich's office, and by that I mean take it away from him. Where do you do all your work now? The mystery remains, but we are one step closer to identifying the man who became Profine Fafnir. Indeed, though he did not at first appear to be a member of the clergy, his words betray a fervent faith. And how curious that he should speak not only of the Archbishop, but Bishop Varshiswa specifically. Perhaps he was personally acquainted with His Grace. In light of the possibility, I believe we should speak with him directly. Agreed. I will request an audience, but His Grace has many demands upon his time. It may be a while before we are seen. Should you have other business, pray feel free to attend to them in the meantime. I actually have a feeling the man will talk to me right now. I'm pretty sure Emmerich does need all this. Granted, his desk was like right here. And then there was all this space. If I remember his office correctly. The look of relief upon Toriel's face bespeaks your timely arrival. Kasasagi, excellent timing as ever. Deacon Clem has just sent word that Bishop Varshiswa will see us now, by which I mean right this instant. 'Tis extremely short notice, I know, but it would not do to miss the opportunity to learn how he and Venadru may be connected. Hello, hello! Not wishing to keep His Grace waiting, Lord Emmerich is already on his way to St. Raimund's Cathedral. Come, let us hurry there ourselves. One of my favorite facts is that... So we never actually saw Arshifon's office. We were always like, Camp Dragonhead, that was their strategy room, and Arshifon's desk was there. But he had his like own room, of course, with its office. And that he didn't keep track of fucking anything. And there were papers everywhere, nothing turned in, nothing organized. And so in the short story, where am I going? He's like, they're looking for something very specific, like the deed to Camp Dragonhead, so that they can pass it on, and they can't find it because his office is literally a hellscape. And I am doing good. How are you? Full glad am I that you could join us. This man is so much less thirstier than he is in the MSQ, and I'm extremely disappointed. Where's my offer for drinks and dinner? I'm right here. I have all the time in the world. Fuck myself. My lords, I am so sorry. I informed His Grace that you were making your way hither, but shortly before you arrived, he recalled that he had urgent business and had to leave the cathedral at once. I can grab a drink right now! He cannot have yet gone far, though, so if you wish to search for him, in the hopes that you can steal a moment of his time. To grant us an audience, only to depart with such haste, what business could be so pressing? I was really hoping this churchman... Yeah, I believe that about Orshafont. He'd be like, I know exactly where everything in this office is. I was really hoping that that we had met some good church people. But now I'm beginning to be... I feel like maybe perhaps we are not going to meet good church people. That's actually kind of upsetting. Though it is a Japanese RPG, the church is always the enemy. Well now, that even the savior of Ishgard should be here. Your Grace, perhaps 'tis simply our misunderstanding, but we were under the impression that you had granted us an audience. Yeah, I know. Lord Speaker, rest assured I was just about to return to the cathedral. There is no need, Your Grace. This will not take long. As you may have heard, we are investigating a young man named Varandaru. Is he known to you? No, I cannot say that he is. With the exception of the former Archmandrate, I am not sure I know anyone by that name. But mine and the Archbishop's are known to many, yes? Perhaps this youth took inspiration from public services over which we presided. Goodly soul that he is, full glad that I am that his faith was of comfort to him in sickness, and I pray to Helone that he will soon be found in good health. Now then, if there is nothing else, I shall return to my duties. Uh-oh. My lie detector test is about to tell me that you are in fact a liar. Oh, this is... What is happening here? Oh, Jesus. Fear not, Your Eminence. I shall carry out your legacy. We have completed the preparations as per your instructions, but are you certain this will work? This is where we fought Igiorum and La Habrea. I'm like 99% sure. It will. It must. Lord Edmerk spoke the truth when he revealed the Archbishop sought primal powers to strengthen the people's faith. I could not bring myself to believe it, not at first, but in the course of cataloging His Eminence's personal articles, I came upon his journal. Are you telling me that the Archbishop wrote in his diary, "I'm gonna become a primal today"? Why? Why did that happen? Therein, he had written that through abundant aether and a fervent prayer, it is possible to make gods of men. All the power we require lies in this place, this Azizlah, by channeling the essential elements into the soulless flesh and sword we found. We shall summon forth King Theoden and his Knights 12, and by his blessing, Ishgard shall be restored to its former glory. Why is everyone so hard up in having the 1,000-Year War still happen? Why is that, like... Why is that what, like, we're really, really all about? Oh, what's going on, guys? We reanimating a corpse? That's probably not what the Bible intended. That's Zephyrin. Is that not Zephyrin? But what is this? It's just an ordinary man, scarcely changed from before. I'm about to pull up a picture of Sir Zephyrin, because I'm about to have a fit. His Eminence, I must protect. Hold on, I'm pulling up a picture, because I really can't. I can't. Lord Zephyrin. Sir Zephyrin. Sir Zephyrin. Final Fantasy XIV. Well, I actually... Perhaps not, actually. This is Lord Zephyr, or Sir Zephyrin. He's the one that killed Orshifon, and was the leader of the Heavensward Knights. Never mind, my theory's wrong. Fuck this game. He's just some guy. No, this isn't right. Confound it! Perhaps I overlooked something. I must return to the Holy See and review the journal. That means the short story literally introduced this blonde guy for this particular scene in general. Or like this tiny short story. Your Grace, what shall we do with this thing? Leave it. 'Tis a failure without use or value. The denizens of this place will deal with it soon enough. I thought for sure. Because it's been a theory... It's been a theory since the firmament was complete. Because you could find him in the infirmary. And he had the same earrings as Sir Zephyrin. He had the gold earrings. And everyone was like, he's here. Sir Zephyrin. He's alive. Kazasagi, are you well? Were you perchance granted a vision of the past? Yeah, and I'm about to rat out this old man. An attempted summoning of King Thornton and his Knights 12. Your Grace, you should know full well that summoning is strictly forbidden. You will accompany us to the congregation and explain yourself. Run. Just run, man. Don't... Well... I have dedicated my life to the church, conducted my affairs in accordance with the scriptures, and taught others to do likewise. But you took it all from us, tore down everything that defined us. You cannot know how it feels to have your very existence rejected, to be forsaken by your community, to be denied by your society. Well, I deny you and this justice. I deny an Ishgard where the church has no place. I refuse to accept it, do you hear me? I refuse to accept it. That's a weird thing to say to Emmerich specifically. Emmerich grew up. Yeah. Oh no, I'm having a vision. Here it comes. Oh, Hyland's telling me you're a douchebag. That was a weird thing to say to Emmerich, though, who was constantly badgered his whole life about being the bastard of the Pope. But sure. Your Grace, no! That it should come to violence yet again. Would that your hand had not been forced, my lord. Deacon Clem should not be alone at this time. I shall remain with him while tending to the aftermath. Goodbye! When things have settled, I will return to the congregation. Pray go on ahead and get some rest. Man, I didn't do anything. I pulled out my book, but I didn't cast any spells. You know what's killing me? I'm missing one person in Endwalker to play Triple Triad with. And I have no idea where they are. It's literally making me insane. How fares the deacon? Well enough given the circumstances. Though understandably shaken, he is more determined than ever to help his fellows. Truly, he is possessed of a stout heart. But to think that even a member of the Synod could so come to despair in turn. Their crisis gripping the church is far graver than I had imagined. In pushing for such abrupt separation of religion and state, we may have exacerbated the growing divide between clergy and the general populace. Kasasagi, will you recount in full what you witnessed in your vision? That he should seek to use one of Aleg's unholy abominations to create a primal. Yet that which manifested was not like the being you fought, but rather retained the form of a man, one driven by the desire to protect the Archbishop. We may safely assume the bishop did not have sufficient ether. Bereft of Nidhogg's eye, the sword Asalan no longer has such power. Nor does the warring triad remain to be harnessed, thanks to your valiant intervention. What if I hadn't done the warring triad? But if the summoning failed, how did the clone come to possess life, and what purpose drives it? Lacking of aether notwithstanding, the necessary components were present for a summoning. Perhaps the ritual itself was a success, and the vessel, though imperfect, arose as a champion of the Archbishop. Yet how did he come to be in the Central Highlands? You believe that this clone and the man who became the blasphemy are one and the same? Nay, I merely speculate, yet considering what we know of the clone and Venedaru, it would seem a highly possibility. Whatever the truth may be, it will not elude us forever. But first, I must lay some groundwork for the next phase of our investigation. God's permitting, I will have news to share ere long, so pray look in on us when you can. Alright, I'm gonna take a bite of this soup while they lay down their investigation prep work. My soup is extremely cold, and that is extremely depressing. Artorial has the identity of the blasphemy on his mind. Kasasagi, you are ever a sight for sore eyes. Ill tidings, my friends. I dispatched the temple knights to find the clergyman who aided the bishop Vartaswa's summoning attempt. Regrettably, when confronted, all turned and had to be put down. Without their accounts, how then to ascertain that the clone of Varandaru are the same individual? Maintaining the assumption that they are, perhaps we should instead consider how Varandaru may have found his way to Korthus. According to Kasasagi's vision, he was abandoned in Azizla. But what did he do afterwards? Then there is but one way to ascertain the truth. We follow his trail. I shall go and search for the clone in Azizla. If he is still there, then we are dealing with a different individual. A splendid idea. We leave the floating continent in your capable hands. Meanwhile, Kasasagi and I shall retrace Vanadaru's steps whence he first appeared. Upon being found in the Central Highlands, he was taken to Camp Dragonhead. Let us begin by making inquiries there. I'm so glad I'm not being sent to Azizla. I'll take Camp Dragonhead over that horrific place any day. Let's go. Emilian, why are you here? Shouldn't you be in Garlemald? Kasasagi, old girl, when I saw you off on the Ragnarok, I had every faith that you would return, and here you are, a more dependable comrade a man could not hope for. Lord Emilian's spell of absence afforded me time to return to my writing. I must admit that life was rather duller without him, though not necessarily for the worse. 'Tis ever an honor to receive you. What brings you to our humble camp this day? An injured man who was found out in the wilds. Yes, I know the one. I was with the patrol that chanced upon him north of here, at Providence Point. He was unconscious and in a bad way, and we hurriedly bore him back to camp. After doing what we could for him, we sent him on to the city. Your exchange with Yale has taught you about where Vanadaru was found. Investigating the stranger we found, are you? I wasn't involved myself, so I can't tell you much about the fellow, but in case it is of interest, earlier the same day, I caught sight of an airship flying dangerously low. It soon disappeared in the brewing snowstorm, looking none too steady. Your exchange with Theobalin has taught you about an airship flying low. now, if it isn't the late Lord Orchifont's dear friend. Is there something you require? All right, ma'am. Ah, yes, the mystery man. I was among those who tended him. He was not attired for the snow, much less the snowstorm in which he had been caught and was suffering from frostbite. When people are extremely cold, they may mistakenly feel that they are warm and disrobe. That might explain his state of undress. Your exchange with Nene has taught you about Venadaru's state when he was found. There you are. Were you able to learn aught of interest? I took some notes. A mysterious man collapsed after an airship was seen flying low. Yes, the accounts I heard are consistent with yours. I, for one, am curious about the fate of this unknown airship. To that end, I have arranged a pair of black chocobos for us, the more efficiently to scour the area. We shall contain our search to Providence Point, where Venadaru is said to have been found. Okay. If you are ready, let us be off. How silly do you look riding a chocobo, Emmerich? I simply must know. Oh, extremely. You know, Emmerich, I have a double-seater red chocobo that we could have flown on together. But you didn't ask, so... Nothing so far. Let us continue northeast. There's a whole ass airship just out here. We need to talk about the knights and their guarding and patrolling. My god. Just a whole ass airship there. But the fury, it's the blasphemy. There's still some questions to be asked about how this man obtained a airship, but... His Eminence must protect His Eminence. Ah, you're finally awake! Helone be praised. How are you feeling? Strong enough to speak? Can you tell me your name? My name is... Zephyrin. No. Charibert. Or was it Velaguane? Palserine? So many names swirling in my mind, and voices that reject them. Is there none that will accept me? Yeah, he's all of them. Are you alright? Oh, this story was so sad. Okay. Vanadaru. My name is Vanadaru. So we read this short story while we were waiting for Endwalker to drop. But there was an elderly knight in the Heavensward. And he realized that the Archbishop was plotting primal summonings and doing some incredibly shady shit. And so he didn't want to believe it, but he knew he needed to confront the Archbishop about it. And so he went to go confront the Archbishop, and Cherrybert was there. And Cherrybert was not a member of the Heavensward at the time. And Cherrybert and Vanadaru fought, and Cherrybert disintegrated him. And the entire Heavensward seemed to know that this was happening, and the Archbishop ordered it to happen. And the excuse they left for Vanadaru was that he had gone into retirement somewhere very far away, so no one ever knew what happened to him, and no one, there was no body, there were no remains. They just said that he went far away for retirement, quite suddenly. Yeah. So the name that he is using is the knight that they all very much betrayed. Well, no, that's the same as our infirmary. I dare say fate has guided you to us. So, Vanadaru, if you are feeling up to a little conversation, can you tell me about yourself? Anything you remember? Anything at all? A proud son of House Dazamal, nay, a devout servant of Halone, who lives for the rush of battle, the pleasure of inflicting pain, the intention of maidens, to fight beside my brother in arms. A low-born runt, whose every effort went unrewarded, whose very name disqualified him from ever leading the Temple Knights. But his eminence raised me up, granted me a place at his side. From that day forth I pledged my sword to his service, pledged my very being, my life, to be offered up in defense of his. That's another. Sir Zephyrin wanted to be leader of the Temple Knights so incredibly badly, but it was given to Sir Emmerich. And it was also, when Sir Emmerich was given that position, there was a lot of debate that he only got it because he might be the bastard son of the Pope. And Sir Zephyrin was a bit bitter. But then I think playing and preying on that bitterness, because if you are a lowborn runt, you cannot serve the Heavensward. But Sir Zephyrin did. Yeah, if you are lowborn, you cannot serve the Heavensward. Because not only could Orshaphant not serve the Heavensward, he could not even be a Temple Knight because he was a bastard. But Theoden made an exception for Zephyrin, so gaining his unwavering loyalty and support despite all that he was doing. It was extremely fucked up. I am a knight of the Heavensward, sworn to protect and serve the Archbishop. Oh, you're a knight. Forgive me if that sounded rude, but I had no idea. And while I realize your memories might be a bit muddled, I'm afraid I must inform you that the Heavensward have not been seen in quite some time, and are presumed dead. And the Archbishop, well, he is most certainly no longer of this world. But the important thing is you're safe now, and we'll help you get back on your feet. Speaking of which, let me bring you some food and water. You must be absolutely famished. The Archbishop dead. No, this cannot be. How can I still be alive when he is not? I must find him. Kasasagi? Thank you, Emmerich. For the glory of King Thordan. Another vision, I take it. My bad. Let us make for Ishgard. I expect that Lord Artorial will return soon, if he has not already, and we should both be glad to hear your tale. I know so much Final Fantasy lore. I replaced all the math in my brain. Oh man, I discovered this in when I was playing Final Fantasy II, but because there's so much Final Fantasy Final Fantasy II's footprints are actually all over Final Fantasy XIV. But I ran into a bookshelf in Final Fantasy II, and it was talking about Pandemonium. I was like, oh, what a coincidence. And in the Pandemonium holds the secret to the ultimate magic, Ultima. Where am I going? And I think that's what we will find at the end of Pandemonium, according to Final Fantasy II. I'm very excited about all that. The Heart of Sabik. It was crazy because I just happened to walk into the bookshelf because sometimes you can read bookshelves in Final Fantasy II, but not always. And I was actually in Maricidia. I was in Maricidia, which is with all the wizards. And I walked into the bookshelf, and it was talking about Pandemonium, and locked away in its depths is the secret Ultima magic. And I was like, oh, I figured it out. And no one would ever know, because no one's ever played Final Fantasy II. Kasasagi, I pray your search was more productive than mine own. Everyone is here. Excellent. So you were able to find our clone in Azizla? Nay, but not but disregarded Asalan remained. How fared you with your own efforts in the Central Highlands? In the course of retracing Venederu's steps, we came upon the wreck of the Solier. That was pretty small to be the Solier, which was the Archbishop's airship. I think that's a reach, Emmerich. We'll pretend that isn't actually it. I suspect he found the vessel abandoned in Azizla and tried to use it to return to Ishgard. Are you telling me you left the Pope's airship there in Azizla? How many years? For 6 years. Christ. But he crashed en route and was subsequently rescued by a patrol from Camp Dragonhead. So it would seem, and the Archbishop's airship was not the only thing we found. Profane Fafnir was there too. The creature chose to flee, but not before Kasasagi had a vision of Vanaderu's past. Go on, my friend. Share with us what you witnessed. All the pieces fit, and it is as you surmised, my lord. Vanaderu and the clone are one and the same, and in his despair he turned into the blasphemy. Yet the confusion he exhibited when asked his name, 'tis as if he wasn't sure of his own identity. According to the science, primals retain the memories of their previous incarnations. From this, it may be assumed that the clone harbors the memories of those who became King Thordan and his Knights 12. Though he struggled to reconcile those conflicting memories, he managed to settle on the name Vanaderu. The voices within are clearly in agreement when facing Kasasagi, the mere sight of whom drove the blasphemy to flee. Above all, however, they share in the desire to protect the Archbishop. This desire was seared into Vanaderu's very being, and when he learned that he no longer had a purpose, the Heavens Ward took up arms against us and Ishgard. By their hand will we rob one of our finest knights and our dear friend. Even so, I would not wish such a terrible fate upon them. Well, I might. The selfsame fate inflicted upon full many clergymen, and a fate I fear ordinary citizens will succumb to if we fail to act. The people will not soon forget the betrayal of our church's leadership, nor should they, but absent the comfort and stability once afforded to them by the institution, many have become lost, and are all too vulnerable to despair. The people don't have to forget, but they need to move forward. I thought as much myself, my friend, but to hear you say it as well. Indeed, when the ground upon which we stand crumbles, we must find the strength to move forward, even should it cause us pain to do so. Lord Otorial, at the next house session I shall call for an seminal council to be held. My lord, such a gathering is reserved for... Oh, you intend for the church to codify new doctrine? Since the separation of religion and state, we have refrained from interfering in church affairs, but if the church is to remain part of Ishgardian society and continue serving the people, it must reconsider its role and formally address recent revelations. I would call for this council, not as Lord Speaker, but as a humble adherent of the faith. Long had I considered whether such measures were necessary, but lacked the courage to set them into motion. I now have it, thanks to you. I shall tend to the necessary preparations at once. Among other things, we must reach out to those of the clergy who are amenable to reform. As for your patience in the meantime. The set of Otorial's draw betrays a hint of anxiety. Kasasagi, owing to Lord Emmerich's swift action, I am pleased to say that the Ingamental Council will soon be held. In case you are unaware, the Council is the highest assembly in the Ishgardian Orthodox Church, its purpose to deliberate and decide upon doctrine. The previous one was held no less than 80 years ago, and 4 archbishops have since come and gone. As such, most Ishgardians know little of it, save what they have read in historical records. Traditionally, the Archbishop and members of the Synod would meet behind closed doors. In light of the Bishop Varsheswa's fate, however, This time the doors will be thrown open to the public. Indeed, for the first time in history, all men and women of the faith may have a hand in shaping the mission and the teachings of the Church. 'Tis my hope that you will also join us in this endeavor. Deacon Clem, allow me to express our gratitude for your efforts in facilitating the council. We appreciate the difficulty of your position. I merely heed my conscience and my faith, my lord. Acting in Bishop Varshanov's stead, I shall do all within my power to see that the Church may serve the people once more. It's Varshasois, but... Where is the Lord Speaker, if I may ask? He stepped outside for a moment, saying that he wished to gather his thoughts ahead of the council. The hour draws nigh, however. Kasasagi, I shall proceed to the vault with the good deacon. In the meantime, may I ask you to find Lord Emmerich? He should be at the last vigil, I believe. Do I get to have a walking quest with Emmerich now? If they deny me this, I will never forgive Final Fantasy XIV. I'm trapped. I don't know how to get out. This is my favorite lookout spot too, Emmerich. "'Tis you, my friend. Is it time already?" "I see. My apologies for making you come and fetch me." "I've been thinking, Kasasagi, on the path I have chosen to walk, and on those who have been left behind as a consequence of my actions. Those who died fighting, those burdened with boundless grief, those deprived of position and purpose. Like any nation, Ishgard is made up of disparate souls whose disparate beliefs. Without an enemy to unite us, we recall the differences that we once set aside out of necessity, and find amongst our old friends new ideological foes. The future I had envisioned is far more difficult to secure than I ever imagined. What must I do for our people to live in harmony, for our nation to move as one?" Such questions I have been pondering. We should begin making our way to the council. Shall we continue our conversation while we walk? Ready? Then let us be off. If it is agreeable, I would like to look on Fort Tom's Manor. Finally. Let's go. Oh, I'm so excited. Garuda, you need to go away, because you're in the way. First things first. Okay, we need to do better. Okay. Alright, let's go. It feels like another age that you and yours were no more than 4 wards of House Fort Tom's. And in actual fact, it may be considered so. For your coming set in motion a chain of events that brought an end to the Dragonsung War, ushering in a new age of harmony. You paved the way for meaningful change in our nation, and for that, you shall ever have my gratitude. Now then, shall we continue on to the architects? your idol? Oh, I see. King Thordan and his Knights 12, the murderers of Rakostar. Since the truth of their ancient crime came to light, many have demanded that these images be torn down. Yet, though what our founding fathers did was wrong, neither is it right to simply expunge them and their deeds from history. To do so would be to deny our people's part in what followed for 1,000 years. Yet we have the chance to forge a new future, but we as a nation must decide how we will confront our past. Forgive me, I was lost in thought yet again. Let us join the Deacon Clem at the vault. Yeah, acknowledging it is the first step. The statues could probably should be taken down. But you gotta acknowledge it first. You can't pretend that that nothing happened and that everything is okay. That's how you get the current problems some places are facing. There you are, my friends. The council is about to convene. Let us take our place in the audience hall. Well, I'm glad I get to be here for this. Esteemed members of the clergy and ardent adherents of the faith, I thank you all for your attendance. In recent days, our nation has been racked by a series of tragedies. Those among us who do Halone's work have been transformed into abominations. This dreadful phenomenon has been brought about by the final days, and it is upon our despair and anguish that it feeds. Thus, if we are to prevent further tragedy, we must strive to ensure that all Ishgardians, clergymen, and citizens alike abide with peace and love for another in their hearts. To that end, I have called the Exmunial Council, the first in generations, that we might together determine a path forward for the Church and our society as a whole. Since antiquity, the Ishgardian Orthodox Church served the people in two respects, as the Fury's spear to strike at the heart of dragonkind, and as the Fury's shield to safeguard the souls of men. But now we are at peace with the Dravanians. The Church need no longer serve as spear, and so we must now reconsider how we might better serve as the shield for our brethren. The hierarchy must be reformed, and for that we need accountability. The upper echelon must be stripped of rank at a minimum, and investigations conducted, trials held, if the evidence is sufficiently damning, and then we may turn our attention to the doctrine of lies. As our predecessors did before us, we of the Synod have ever sought to interpret the scriptures to the best of our ability, and thence conveyed Halone's will to the people. Such fervent pursuit of retribution at the expense of doctrine would come also at the expense of our faith. Have we won the war to lose our souls? O Halone, are we outside your grace? This bodes ill. At this rate, someone might turn. Since the war's end, the Church and the faithful have stood at a crossroads, unable to take the next step forward. His Grace Bishop Varsheswa, may he walk in Halone's halls, was one such soul, and his longing for simpler times he resorted to using forbidden magics. He succumbed to despair. In our minds we renounce the lies upon which our nation was built, but in our hearts we yearn for the righteousness, misguided though it was, that gave us comfort and purpose for so long. So let us not forget who we were. Let us confront the mistakes of the past and learn from them, that we do not repeat the mistakes of our forefathers. As fervently as we believed in our sacred duty, we struggle to accept the Church's deception and embrace change. The legacy of Thornton weighs heavy, and there is the temptation to simply cast it aside like a mantle that suits us no longer. Yet that would dishonor the sacrifice of those who went before, countless souls who served the people with purest intent. And so, heavy though it may be, let us together bear this burden as we set forth anew. Our friend Kasasagi risked life and limb to reveal the truth to us, the truth that our legends and our scripture were tainted by betrayal, but not wholly corrupted. Though the great walls and towering spires of our city may have been built with murder and deception, they rest upon a foundation, immutable and true, our devotion to Helone, whom we have worshipped since before our forefathers settled these lands. The Church is front of practical wisdom, and its teachings guide us in our daily lives. Such things define our faith no less than the lies. We can acknowledge our sins without recounting our religion. Aye, and without rejecting who we are. A comprehensive review of scripture as well as historical literature will be necessary. Revisions, as appropriate, must be made to ensure that the truth of our past is preserved for future generations. With your peerless knowledge of church doctrine, I dare say none is better suited than leading that effort than you. I also expect that many eyes will be required to pore over the tomes, and I know many idle men and women of faith who would jump at the chance to do Helone's work once more. That day, so very long ago, I had no answer to my father's words, but it seems that people had it within them all along. The council went better than I had dared hoped. Truly, while the details remained to be decided, 'twas a resounding success. Your words helped everyone find a common ground. I know not how to thank you. Much credit must go to Kasasagi. In the face of great hardship, never did she hesitate to press on, and our people have not forgotten this. Indeed. Well do I remember the day you flew into Ishgard upon a dragon's back, and making the impossible, you inspired us all. In you we glimpsed the fury, a vision of courage in the face of uncertainty. Looking to your example, we shall endeavor to bring about the change to the Church for the future of all Ishgardians. There will, of course, still be those who struggle to rise above the mire of despair, but my fellows and I shall be there to take their hand in faith and love. For what is faith if not salvation? Well, I had best return to the cathedral. We have much and more to do. But ere I forget, I have tracked down that which you requested. Some repairs will be necessary, but it will be seen to with all haste. I tasked the deacon with finding a certain item, you see. A secret weapon, one might say. Given what we know of profane Fafnir, I suspect it will be of great use to us in our hunt. Once the repairs are complete, we shall be ready to strike. With the church having reached an accord with the people, the risk of more clergymen turning is greatly diminished. We may now focus entirely on the blasphemy. 'Tis time we freed Vendario from his torment. Rest while you can, Kasasagi, for I dare say the coming battle will demand the best of us. Artorio has his sights set on profane Fafnir. Glad tidings, Kasasagi, since the Immensal Council, not a single soul has turned. That was 5 minutes ago. Safe in the knowledge, we need only think on how to hunt down the blasphemy. Kasasagi, you are here too. Excellent. I am pleased to say the secret weapon is ready. We may now look to dealing with the profane Fafnir. As you recall, the last we encountered it was lying in wait by the Soleil. As instinct driven by its inherited memories, I believe it seeks to protect that which it most strongly associates with the Archbishop. In all likelihood, 'twas the self-same motive that compelled it to come to the Holy See. From the skies above, it keeps watch over the Holy Vault. When it next ascends, we shall exploit this instinct by using a secret weapon to lure it to the chancel. What exactly is this secret weapon? 'Tis none other than the Fury's Grace, the holy cozier of the Archbishop. Suspecting that Bishop Rochessois has retrieved it from Azizla, I had Deacon Clem search his private quarters. My suspicions proved correct. With the cozier in hand, it shall make an irresistible bait for profane Fafnir. My lord, that is an unconscionable risk. There's no telling how the blasphemy will react. Indeed, but we can be confident that I will command his undivided attention, thus ensuring that no more of our citizens are placed in harm's way. If the Heavens Ward are the Archbishop's shield, then the Temple Knights are the people's. As the leader of the Order, the risk is mine to bear. All the Knights of the Heavens Ward fell in Azizla. As a vessel for their memories, Vendario may be considered the last of their number. Let us go then, and relieve him of this, nay, their duty. Let us see to our preparations and proceed to the vault. We finish this once and for all. The vault's a good place for this to end. I'm being severely nerfed. 550. I was like, man, I'm extremely powerful on my gear. All my pentamelds. The beast has come. Now is our chance. This is where we fought Charibert. Filthy rats. Pope Emmerich. Make ready. To me, my knights. That's one of my favorite AUs. Emmerich becoming the next pope, and the one that's coerced by Asians. It's good food. But for the glory of King Thordan. Was Emmerich gonna become a healer? No, you are not he. A trick! It's a trick! Forgive me, Sir Vanadaru, but for the sake of all Ishgardians, we must strike you down. There are 2 tanks here. If this thing even looks at me the wrong way, I will never forgive either of you.
It ends here.
Oh, I saw the provoke.
You underestimate me. There.
Phoenix Green weapon. Oh, they're paladins. They have clemency. It's stronger than any bonus you messed up.
Do not underestimate me!
Start doing in Phoenix videos. Do I need to wait out my GCD? Fuck.
We must stand our ground!
I hit the wrong button, so I was chasing down a Torio. And then put my Phoenix Fire on somebody. Oh, I canceled.
You underestimate me.
There's 12 of them. Because that would be incredibly good. I can put this on my tank without losing
I will not
the Phoenix
falter!
Slayer. That's what I have to start doing. Thank you for the tank buster. Or tank movement. What happened? I actually have no idea what happened because I was doing Phoenix things and I saw Emmerich's tank buster go out and I thought we were fine. I thought the tank buster protected us, so I wasn't even concerned about it. I have zero idea what just occurred. I was the only one who died. Because they lived. What happened? I'll have to pay more attention.
It ends here!
I have not failed one of these. Not even the healer one where I was playing a scholar and I had no idea what I was doing. That's very bizarre. Oh, well, I blew that on a room 3 by accident. I'm good at video games.
You underestimate me!
It's the most obnoxious part. There's no good way to macro that.
Do not underestimate me!
Well, I could try.
There! We must stand our ground!
Artorial.
You underestimate me!
I'm gonna cast this on myself. I did even better that time. Alright, there's that. I'm gonna add all this fucking dragon. I guess I wasn't behind the tutorial the last time. He was definitely, like, I wasn't directly behind him, but he was definitely in front of me. Fuck me, dude. I'm casting here. Hello, Emmerich. I'll add all that for you.
This knight does not yield!
Did it wrong. Regardless. I'll get that. Finally, it is over. And thus ends the tale of the Heavens Ward. Let it not be forgotten. 'Twas wrong of them to conceal the truth of our nation's founding, to abet the Archbishop in his machinations. Yet, in peering into their hearts, one thing became clear. They too had succumbed to primal manipulation. They too were victims. Flawed men, aye, and not without sin, but Ishgardians brave and true, as we all aspire to be. Having triumphed in the battle of ideals, I have a responsibility to all our people. Their hopes and dreams, their sorrow and suffering are mine to bear, and bear them I shall. For had you not vanquished King Thordan, or had I erred in but one of many of my choices, I may have well have been the first to succumb to despair, to be reborn of blasphemy. A ridiculous notion. I'm more like to become a beast than you. Thank you, my friend, for having such confidence in me. My apologies. 'Twas not mine to wax sentimental. Our work here is done. Let us return to the congregation. kinda wish it had been more like the Thornton trial, but that's okay. Like a little solo duty. But this was fine too. There are some few words I would say, but it can wait until Lord Artorial and Deacon Clem have spoken theirs. Kasasagi, permit me to offer my gratitude for helping us to overcome not only the blasphemy, but the despair which spawned it. But this is only the beginning. On the face of it, we may have made tremendous strides in breaking down ancient barriers within our society, but there yet remain great rifts to be bridged. 'Tis no easy thing to rise above a lifetime of preconceptions and prejudice. I myself have struggled to do so, as you must know. Clem. Thank God there's Clem, because I can't pronounce any of these. But I shan't give up. On the honor of my house, I will do everything in my power to build a new Ishgard, one in which all people can see eye to eye, regardless of birth and station. Clem doesn't have pointy ears, which makes me think if they're one of possibly the few humans or a half-blood. Now then, I believe the deacon has some words for you too. Pray lend him an ear. I can't say anything at any given time. My lady Kasasagi, may I say how glad I am that you are safe and well. Just before you arrived, Lord Emmerich explained to me the true nature of the man who became the blasphemy. The poor, confused creature was born of the Church's mistakes, and on behalf of the clergy, I give you my heartfelt thanks for laying it to rest. As we work to reform our institutions and rebuild our relationship with the people, we will remember and pray for all those who have fallen in service to the faith. And we shall pray for you as well. Wheresoever your path may lead, may the Fury watch over and keep you. I shall leave it at that, then. Lord Emmerich too wishes to speak, and 'twould not do to keep him waiting. Kasasagi, Lord Artorial, I thank you for the vital roles you played in ridding us of profane Fafnir. As ever, the sight of you in combat was nothing short of inspiring. I especially liked it when you got mean and we had to do it all over again. With no further reported instances of people turning in the blasphemy itself no more, I should like to believe we are free of the scourge of despair. My brethren and I shall labor to see that it ever remains so by fighting to dispel the darkness in men's hearts. And I shall fight with you, not only as the Speaker of the House of Lords or the Lord Commander of the Temple Knights, but as a man of faith in our God and in our people. Together, let us strive to fill our nation with hope. Kasasagi, by now you will be sick unto death of being thanked, but I must nonetheless express an additional word of gratitude. Full oft have you saved our nation, our people. I speak not only of our lives, but our hearts and minds as well. You have given us a great gift, that of opportunity and choice, and if we are to repay you for it, we as a nation must take full advantage of our freedom to dictate a new course forward into a bright future. What forward means, we may not always agree upon, but as fellow Ishgardians, we shall find a way to rise above our differences and stand united. This is the nation that I will strive to build, this I swear to you. Kasasagi, given all that you have done for us, I am loath to impose further, but may I trouble you to bear a word of success to our officer, Razet Han? We will, of course, be sending a report, but there is no substitute for a first-hand account. Our allies would benefit from the additional details you can provide as well. Our thanks again, my friend, and may the Fury speed you away. Emmerich didn't offer me a single drink. Not my Emmerich. My Emmerich would never not offer me a drink, regardless of what the hell was happening. He didn't act like he was interested at all in getting in my pants. It was really upsetting. How dare he keep it professional? That's not why I'm here. Ah, my Lady Kasasagi, by Garuda, get the hell out of here. By your return, dare I hope that the hunt for the blasphemy was a success? That you should vanquish the beast comes as little surprise, but that this occasion would serve as an impetus for the Church to embark upon a path of reform is incredible. I shall share these joyous tidings with our allies without delay. If I may speak candidly, I must confess to being a great admirer of yours. When you have a moment, I should like to hear about some of your adventures, if you would do me the honor. Well, there's the flirting I was looking for. It came from somebody else completely. But let it not be said that we weren't flirted with a little bit in the Ishgardian quest. For the present, however, in my official capacity as the Ishgardian delegate, I offer you my humblest thanks for your immeasurable service to our nation. Thank you. These are going straight on the market. And that is that. The new quest will be available, I believe, 6.1. Because once you have done all of these, you will get a quest. These are all very, very good. Except the Gridanian one. The Gridanian one was in fact very, very bad. And I like that we focused on Alamigo and not Ulda, because I'm kind of tired about the shit that we have. We've just done so much Ulda throughout the entire story. So it was nice that they took a back seat and we focused on Alamigan's problems. And I think Alamigo was probably the best one. Some of these were a little silly as they like reached for... and wrapping up loose threads, they sort of like... It got a little silly. But Fordola's story was very good. Lord Hian's... the Doman story was good. It was all quite good. Except you. Yours sucked. Alright. Well, that will be our last... Aside from raiding, that will be the last bit of Final Fantasy we're able to do until 6.1. We'll eventually return... When I have some more time, I will return to Akali and we will finish up the Eurican and the Bojin storyline. That is just... I do not have the time to grind Eureka and Boja on another character. I do want to get that done before whatever the relic weapon is for Endwalker happens. So it will be soon, but... We will not be doing too much more with Final Fantasy XIV until 6.1 comes out. But I will actually be back in about a little over an hour, perhaps closer to 2, depending on how queue times are for everybody, for more raid. And we will be progging floor 2 in Pandemonium. So I hope to see you there. Otherwise, have a very, very lovely evening, and I will see you on Tuesday at 2 p.m. EST for more Tales of Symphonia. Goodbye!